This is part 2 of the initial video of possible questions you will be asked in the initial interview at the port of entry if you are coming into Canada on a job offer, aka on a work permit. You will generally be asked how you are, so just be polite and relaxed and try not to be intimidated. The border officers and immigration officials are generally approachable and polite. Just say, I am fine, thank you. Next, you will be asked to show your passport and visa, or instead of your passport, any other travel documents that you may have. Remember to renew your passport so that its expiry date is later than the expiry date of your work permit. If not, your work permit will be adjusted so that it is valid until your passport expiry date, and I'm sure you do not want that. So you should be familiar with all the personal details in your passport. Obviously, any answer you give that is inconsistent with the personal information in your passport will delay your interview and could, in the worst case scenario, result in you being admissible to Canada and eventually being deported back to your home country. If you're traveling with any family members, the Border Services officer will check their travel documents to ensure that they are valid and do not expire before your work permit does. You often may be asked about whether you have ever visited Canada before, and if so, when and for how long and why you visited Canada. Always be truthful as you answer. And don't even try to conceal previous visits because it will likely result in you being denied entry to Canada. Keep a record of all your past travels, both in Canada and abroad, from your home country, regardless if they were in Canada or some other country. So be sure you are familiar with and can remember your past travels to foreign countries. If you can't remember, just have them on a piece of paper or carry your previous passports, and you can always just refer when you're asked questions. You will then be asked questions about your health. Remember, you must have health insurance and you must obtain workers' compensation insurance, that is accident insurance for workers, in order to work in Canada. You will have already at this point undergone a medical examination before coming to Canada, and there are designated doctors and hospitals where you can do the medical checkup. These are available in the IRCC portal. So be complete and very honest in your answers about your health, because remember, once the doctors have examined you, they send a copy of your results to IRCC. So you should ensure that you are familiar with the results, and this is especially important if the doctor who examined you found anything abnormal in your health. You will often also be asked details about your job offer in Canada for which you have been given a temporary work permit. So the border official will want to make sure that your job is legit, it is valid, and so they will most likely ask you about both the company offering you the job and the nature of your job offer as well. So you must make sure that you are familiar with the company you will be working for. Get as much detail as you can. You can check their website at interview. Feel free to ask all the questions. Anything you are not familiar with, please ask. Write down, print out things. And then you also, to be helpful, to know the name of your immediate boss, their title, their phone number, their email address if possible. The more details you can give on this matter, the better. So make sure you have all the information, because you just never know what they may be asking you. Be prepared to answer questions about why your work experience and your education qualifies you for this job offer in Canada. Make sure you mention any certificates, diplomas, or degrees that you possess which are relevant to this job offer you have in Canada. As well, you must have clear plans to return to your home country or your country of residence as soon as your work permit expires. So when they ask you what are your plans when your work permit expires, you should be clear that you will be returning to your home country after your work permit expires. Make sure to say this even if you are thinking about gaining full-time employment and applying for Canada permanent residence during your stay in Canada. The rules are that you must return to your home country or your country of residence and then apply for permanent residence from outside of Canada. So, unrelated question, you will often be asked how long you plan to stay in Canada. So again, just answer that until your work permit expires, and then you will go back to your home country, okay? Something else, you will usually be asked if you have ever been convicted of a serious crime in your home country. Guys, clearly, if you have and have lied about that in your application, you are inadmissible to Canada unless you have applied for rehabilitation after the required waiting period, which is usually 5 years after your sentence has been completed. Lying about your criminal record is a serious crime in Canada, so guys, don't even try, okay? Something else you're likely to be asked is, where is this other question? Yeah, you will almost always be asked about your funds. So as you will realize from your application, you will be required to have sufficient funds to live in Canada for the first few months of your stay. If you are carrying 10,000 Canadian dollars and above in cash or equivalent, you will have had to declare that on the forms you fill out on your flight to Canada. You may also be asked questions about your source of funds, where the money is, and how you will access it while you are in Canada. So you should ensure that you know how you will transfer the funds to Canada before you travel, and this will be able, and thus you'll be able to answer questions about your source of funds. Guys, have this information. If you need your bank statements, visit your bank to make sure that you have up-to-date balances of your funds. And then you will generally be asked questions about your family, both those of your family who are traveling with you and those who remained behind in your home country or in other countries. Have this information, and be sure that you are clear and precise about who they are, what they do for a living, and where they live, their birth dates, and all that information, because this is part of the information you filled in your application form. If you're not sure of something, it's just better you say, I am not sure, or I don't know. Do not try to lie. Do not try to give conflicting information, because remember, as I said in part 1 of this video, the key issue here is always answer truthfully and always be consistent with your answers. And the reason is because the officials at the border in Canada want to ensure that the answers that you are giving are consistent with the information in your application for a work permit and in the supporting documents that you provided with your application, which you should have official copies of when you enter Canada. I hope this video was very helpful for you. If it was, please follow me. If you're watching this video on TikTok, follow that plus button. Is it here or here? If you are watching it on YouTube, please do yourself a favor and subscribe. It is free, and we have tons of great content, so you don't want to be left behind. I will see you on the next one. Bye.